Wealth starts in the mind. Introduction. Prosperity, as I've come to understand it, is a game. Like any game, it operates on rules, universal, unchanging principles that, when understood and applied, unlock the path to abundance. It's not about chance or fleeting luck. It's about learning to align your thoughts, words, and actions with the flow of infinite prosperity. In this journey, I want to share with you the insights that transformed my relationship with wealth and principles that have the power to completely reshape your life. When I first encountered these truths, I was in a place of lack. Fear, doubt, and a scarcity mindset clouded every decision I made. It felt as though an invisible barrier stood between me and the abundance I longed for, a weight that kept pulling me back into struggle. But then, an extraordinary revelation occurred. I realized that the ability to attract prosperity was always within me, just waiting to awaken and unleash. These principles taught me that prosperity is not just about material wealth. It's a state of mind, a way of living that embraces gratitude, faith, and trust in the limitless supply of the universe. Once you learn to play this game wisely, with clarity and intention, the abundance you seek begins to flow effortlessly. Through this journey, I realized that our words, our thoughts, and our intentions hold extraordinary creative power. They are the keys to shaping our destiny, the levers that shift our lives toward health, abundance, love, and harmony. Understanding the natural law of the universe, rather than relying on magic, can bring about significant changes in our lives. Here you will uncover the tools to release your burdens, trust in the divine plan, and connect with the highest version of yourself. This is not just about inspiration, it's about transformation. It's about stepping into a life where every challenge becomes an opportunity, where faith replaces fear, and where joy flows effortlessly. This moment is not a coincidence. If these words resonate with you, it's because you're ready. You are prepared to embrace the abundance, peace, and love that have always been yours by divine right. Together, we'll uncover the rules of the game of life, learning not just to play but to win, with unwavering faith, unconditional love, and the certainty that the universe is working in your favor. Chapter 1. Unlocking the Power of the Mind. The human mind is a remarkable tool, filled with boundless potential and the ability to shape the course of life itself. When one begins to understand how the mind truly operates, the natural desire emerges to find a simple and effective way to infuse the subconscious with positive ideas. However, intellectual knowledge alone is insufficient. True transformation requires a practical approach. One of the most powerful techniques for achieving this is the practice of releasing the burden. This concept finds its roots in ancient wisdom and metaphysical teachings. A wise thinker once noted that everything with weight in the physical world is bound by the law of gravity. Yet if an object is lifted high enough beyond Earth's atmosphere, it loses its weight entirely. Spirituality mirrors this principle, providing profound insights into how the mind can overcome the weight of worries and fears. When Jesus said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light," he was not merely speaking metaphorically. He described a state of being that operates on a higher plane, a reality of harmony, wholeness, and well-being. His invitation, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," is a timeless reminder that true peace is not born from physical or mental effort, but from surrendering to a higher intelligence. Releasing the burden is an intentional act. It is the process of handing over fears, worries, and limitations to the power within, a power greater than the conscious mind, yet deeply rooted within each individual. This is not a passive surrender, but an active choice to relinquish control and trust the spiritual self, the deeper intelligence capable of resolving challenges that the intellect cannot. For instance, imagine a woman faced with severe financial difficulties. Instead of succumbing to despair, she repeatedly affirms with conviction, "I release this worry to the divine intelligence within me and open myself to the flow of abundance." By freeing herself from the weight of fear and scarcity, she allows her subconscious to resonate with trust and prosperity. Before long, the financial help she needed arrives in an unexpected way. Another case presented a dilemma for a woman who treasured her old piano. She had received a new piano as a gift, but had no space for it in her small apartment. She struggled with the idea of parting with the old piano, which held significant sentimental value. Torn between practicality and emotion, she decided to release her mental struggle. She declared, "I trust the perfect solution will reveal itself." Moments later, she received a call from a friend who offered to rent the old piano, creating space for her new one and preserving the cherished connection to her past. The power of releasing the burden also transforms relationships. A woman weighed down by years of resentment chose to say, "I release this bitterness and allow love and joy to fill my life." As she repeated this affirmation with calm and determination, the grip of negativity began to loosen. Over time, her heart healed, and her life shifted toward peace and fulfillment. This practice of releasing is not instantaneous magic, but a process of consistent, focused repetition. It is like carving a pattern into a piece of wood or imprinting an image onto a photographic film. Each repetition reinforces the desired belief, gradually dissolving the doubts and negative thoughts that obstruct well-being. As the subconscious mind absorbs these new ideas, it reshapes the outer reality to align with the inner transformation. Releasing the burden involves trust, not in an abstract, distant force, but in the infinite intelligence that resides within. This intelligence, often called the higher self or the spiritual self, knows solutions that the conscious mind cannot conceive. It operates beyond logic and reason, orchestrating events in ways that may seem miraculous to the untrained eye. The act of releasing is like letting go of a heavy stone you've been carrying for too long. The instant you set it down, your body feels lighter, freer, and more open to movement. Similarly, when you release mental and emotional burdens, your inner being becomes unshackled, allowing the natural flow of life to bring harmony and abundance. Instead of running away from reality, this change is about accepting it from a different angle, one that is based on perseverance, trust, and the understanding that you are backed by a force far bigger than yourself. Whether dealing with relationship issues, financial difficulties, or emotional scars, the same idea applies. Let go of the weight, have faith in the invisible, and let change take place. Fear and hardship should not burden your life. Instead, you should live it with ease and joy. Letting go is a purposeful decision that aligns you with the universal flow of well-being. When the mind is released from its own constraints, it becomes a creative, problem-solving, and development-friendly environment. There is a path and an objective for relieving the weight. Every step you take in faith moves you one step closer to living the abundant, peaceful life you were destined to lead. Have faith in the procedure, release, and observe as the cosmos opens up before you, revealing its limitless possibilities. When embarking on the journey of releasing life's burdens, it's not uncommon to feel as though things are getting worse before they get better. Old fears and doubts resurface during this momentary turbulence, rising to acknowledge and transform. It's a necessary step in the process, a sign that the inner work is beginning. At such a pivotal point, holding on to faith is essential even when circumstances appear bleak. True change requires persistence and gratitude, a heartfelt belief that resolution is already on its way. Darkness is not an enemy but a teacher, inviting us to learn how to see differently. The weight we carry, whether it manifests as fear, doubt, or pain, binds us only as long as we allow it. Faith is the act of stepping into the unknown with trust, a bridge that connects the mind's limitations with the infinite possibilities of the spirit. Without action, faith remains dormant, like a seed left unplanted. It is through tangible steps, however small, that faith takes root and grows. Even in moments of scarcity or despair, faith becomes a transformative force. Practicing gratitude for unseen solutions and acting as though harmony has already been restored carries profound wisdom. This principle is woven into ancient teachings. To give thanks in advance for the blessings yet to arrive is to create the conditions for their manifestation. Just as light shines through the cracks in the dark, so too does faith illuminate the path forward. Consider the story of a woman who faced the dissolution of her marriage. Her husband repeatedly rejected her attempts at reconciliation despite her love for him. Instead of succumbing to despair, she chose to align herself with spiritual truths. She refused to accept the appearance of separation, affirming daily that love and unity were her divine inheritance. In an extraordinary act of faith, she set a place for him at the table each day, symbolizing her unwavering belief in their reunion. Over time, this steadfast conviction reshaped her inner reality, and more than a year later, her husband returned. Their reconciliation wasn't mere chance, it was the fruit of her living, active faith. Faith manifests not only through words but also through subtle actions. Music, for example, carries a vibration that transcends the ordinary, creating a space of peace and possibility. One individual used soothing melodies to quiet the mind, allowing creativity and solutions to flow effortlessly. Another discovered the transformative power of movement, pairing dance with affirmations to anchor new beliefs in the body and mind. These acts of alignment amplify the energy of faith, making it a dynamic force for change. Often before the fulfillment of a desire, the universe provides signs, small, seemingly insignificant events that serve as reminders of what's to come. When a woman longing for a new set of dishes received a single old plate, she was initially disappointed. However, she interpreted it as an indication that her request was in the process of preparation. Shortly after, her full set of dishes arrived, a testament to her patience and trust. Such signs are whispers from the unseen, urging us to remain steadfast in our belief. The subconscious mind is deeply responsive to the act of embodying the reality we wish to create. We set the stage for the arrival of our desires when we think, feel, and act as though they have already come true. A young woman of limited means never allowed herself to feel impoverished. Working in a luxurious home, she resisted envy or fear, instead surrounding herself with small tokens of abundance. A hat here, a gift there. Her mind lived in the world she envisioned, and soon her reality caught up. She married a wealthy man, manifesting the life she had always believed in. Fear, however, remains one of humanity's greatest obstacles. Misdirected energy gives birth to this force, which can transform into its opposite, faith. Facing fear is the only way to dissolve its power. Running from it only strengthens its grip, while confronting it weakens its hold. A student once asked how to overcome her fear, and the answer was simple: face it directly. Fear is like a lion. It appears ferocious, but its power diminishes the moment we look it in the eye. Fear of scarcity dissipates when we trust in the infinite source of provision. Many have discovered this truth by daring to let go of their fear of spending, affirming instead that abundance flows freely and constantly. A simple yet powerful affirmation, "I give thanks to the infinite source for the constant provision in my life," can rewire the subconscious to expect prosperity rather than lack. Illness, too, loses its grip when viewed from a higher perspective. Disease, often born from fear and disconnection, cannot thrive in a mind aligned with peace and trust. Vibrations of harmony create an internal environment where health becomes the natural state. The ultimate liberation comes when one recognizes that evil, pain, and limitation are illusions. As the mind ascends beyond these lower vibrations, a new reality emerges, a life filled with harmony, love, and boundless possibility. The journey of faith is not without challenges, but it is one of profound transformation. By releasing burdens, confronting fears, and aligning with the higher truths of existence, the human spirit can transcend any obstacle. The promise of a new life, a life free from struggle, filled with peace and abundance, is not a distant dream, but a reality waiting to be embraced. Chapter 2. The Transformative Power of Love. Love connects every soul, every experience, and every lesson in the vast tapestry of life. It is the most profound force, capable of elevating humanity to its highest potential. However, the ego often confines, clouds, and misunderstands love. True love, however, is unconditional. Unrestrained, it flows freely, nourishing everything it touches without any expectations. It is in this purity that love reveals its true power, a transformative force that heals, uplifts, and aligns us with the divine harmony of existence. Too often, human affection becomes entangled with insecurity, jealousy, and control, diminishing its brilliance. These lower emotions weigh down love, repelling the very connection it seeks to nurture. Jealousy, in particular, is a destructive force, shaping negative images in the mind that inevitably manifest in reality. To love authentically requires the courage to let go of the need to possess or dominate. It necessitates an open heart, one that has faith in the inherent course of life. There is a story of a woman who suffered deeply when the man she loved chose to leave her for someone else. Her pain consumed her, and she admitted to wishing he would feel the same anguish she did. But what she mistook for love was, in truth, resentment. Love does not seek to harm or bind. It is not born of pain or revenge. She was gently advised to release her anger and instead bless him with thoughts of peace and joy, regardless of where he was or who he was with. At first, she resisted, unable to reconcile her hurt with the act of blessing him. Yet as she began to purify her heart, she discovered that true love is not dependent on external circumstances. It arises from within, a reflection of one's inner state. In time, this woman began to heal. She found peace by affirming, "I bless the perfect being he is created in the divine mind." Day by day, she let go of her resentment, and her inner world transformed. One day, with a smile, she declared that she no longer harbored any bitterness. The love she had cultivated within her own heart had freed her. Shortly thereafter, she reunited with the man she once thought was lost to her, and they married. She realized that it was only when she released her pain and embraced the purity of love that their paths could align again. Love's power lies in its ability to reflect the purity of our emotions back to us. Like a mirror, the universe responds to the energy we project. When love is unconditional and free of attachment, it returns to us in ways that surpass understanding. This is why every challenge, every encounter, serves as a teacher, guiding us toward the mastery of love. Those who test our patience or evoke our pain are often the greatest catalysts for growth. They help refine our hearts until love becomes the dominant force within us, transcending all fear and limitation. These lessons lead us to true freedom. These lessons provide us with freedom from resentment, fear, and the illusions that trap us in cycles of suffering. Yet many people require moments of profound pain to awaken to these truths. When life is easy, the ego often grows complacent, blind to its own limitations. Difficulty, however, shakes us from our slumber, offering the opportunity to align with universal principles. Pain, while not a prerequisite for spiritual development, frequently serves as a crucial awakening for individuals who have lost their path. Consider the story of a woman who felt disconnected from her marriage. Though her husband was kind and attentive, she found herself indifferent to their life together. She would often remark that she felt little joy in their relationship, unknowingly planting seeds of disconnection in her subconscious. Over time, her indifference manifested in reality. Her husband fell in love with someone else and sought to leave their marriage. Heartbroken, she came to understand that her lack of appreciation had contributed to their separation. While painful, this realization brought her clarity. She learned that love requires presence and gratitude, and that relationships thrive only when both partners inspire one another. Similarly, there was a man who believed his life was destined for failure because of a numerical calculation, a belief instilled in him by his wife, who dabbled in numerology. Convinced that his assigned number doomed him to a life of mediocrity, he accepted his circumstances with resignation. His perspective changed when he realized that his destiny was determined by his connection to divine intelligence rather than numbers. Encouraged to embrace his inherent worth, he began affirming success and prosperity. Over time, his life transformed. He achieved remarkable success as a writer, proving that one's potential is limited only by the beliefs held in the mind. This truth extends to all areas of life, including the pursuit of success and abundance. To truly thrive, one must love what they do. A work of art born from passion becomes a masterpiece, while actions taken out of mere obligation lack the vitality needed to prosper. This applies to all endeavors, even the pursuit of wealth. Those who appreciate and engage with money joyfully attract it, just as they do with love. Fear of scarcity merely prolongs the state of lack, whereas gratitude and trust unleash a wealth of abundance. Love's transformative power extends beyond romantic relationships and material success. It is a universal principle that touches every aspect of existence. Love is the catalyst for healing, the force that bridges the gap between the seen and the unseen. It teaches us to trust in the unseen forces of life, to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, and to release the need for control. When love becomes the foundation of our lives, fear dissolves. Disease, conflict, and limitation lose their hold, for these are merely reflections of disconnected minds. As we align with the higher vibrations of love, we rise above the chaos and enter a state of harmony. This is the ultimate truth, that love is not only the key to personal transformation, but the force that has the power to reshape the world itself. In love, there is no separation, no scarcity, and no limitation. It is the essence of who we are, the light that guides us home. And when we embrace it fully, we find that the life we once dreamed of is not only possible, it is inevitable. Prosperity and love are not distinct entities, but rather two aspects of the same divine essence. Both are bound by a universal law of flow, an eternal current that moves through all things, connecting and replenishing. To experience abundance, one must be in harmony with this flow, for any resistance, whether rooted in fear, greed, or resentment, disrupts its natural course. Yet many unknowingly block their access to prosperity by holding limiting beliefs or harboring negative emotions toward wealth or those who possess it. Criticizing others for their success or rejecting the idea of wealth as virtuous creates an invisible barrier, cutting off the very abundance one desires. Prosperity, like love, is a divine energy. It is a resource that liberates us from limitations and empowers us to fulfill our greater purpose. It is neither inherently good nor bad, yet it must circulate freely. Hoarding wealth out of fear or avarice stagnates this energy, much like a river that ceases to flow becomes stagnant. Understanding that giving and receiving are two parts of the same whole is the true secret to abundance. When we use money with joy and purpose, it multiplies. Having faith in the limitless supply guarantees a never-ending supply. This principle applies not only to material wealth, but also to the essence of love. Love, too, must flow without conditions or expectations. Many confuse love with possession, and in doing so, they taint its purity with fear and control. True love is selfless and unbound, a force that uplifts and transforms. To love authentically is to release all desire to dominate or keep someone against their will. Instead, it requires a willingness to trust in the natural rhythms of connection, knowing that what is truly meant for you can never be lost. There was once a woman who struggled deeply with this lesson. After winning a substantial lottery prize, she became consumed with fear at the thought of losing her newfound wealth. Her obsession with retaining every penny led her to ignore the needs of those closest to her, including her husband. As her fear tightened its grip, her relationships crumbled, and her life spiraled into chaos. Tragically, her love of money turned to ruin when her own greed led to her untimely death. Her story serves as a powerful reminder. Money is not the source of happiness or fulfillment. It is merely a tool, a means to an end, not the end itself. When accumulated without purpose or joy, it becomes a prison rather than a pathway to freedom. In contrast, true prosperity arises from alignment with love, the most powerful force in the universe. A woman of immense wealth once spent her life accumulating jewelry, amassing a collection of necklaces she never wore. Her attachment to these objects became an obsession, a refusal to let go. Over time, she began to experience physical symptoms, a paralysis in her arms that mirrored her resistance to releasing her possessions. Eventually, she lost her fortune and her treasures, teaching her a harsh but necessary lesson. Anything that does not flow will decay and disappear. The universal law of circulation demands movement. Only by giving can one continue to receive. This law transcends earthly belongings. We must also allow emotions to flow. Hatred and anger form a poisonous cycle that eventually hurts the one who harbors them. In contrast, love has the capacity to heal and release. For years, one woman had a deep-seated resentment because she couldn't forgive the person who had harmed her. Despite her desire for spiritual development, she was plagued by her resentment. She finally decided to let go one day. She reacted with unexpected kindness when the person she despised used harsh words to challenge her. The other individual really apologized, and this gesture of love completely changed the exchange. When the woman realized that forgiveness had released her from the bonds of her own resentment, she experienced an overpowering sensation of liberty. In daily life, even small acts of goodwill can create profound change. We encouraged a worker struggling under an unkind boss to change her perspective. Rather than focusing on her grievances, she was advised to envision her boss's inner goodness and send thoughts of love and understanding. Skeptical but willing, she tried. Within a week, her boss's demeanor changed completely, becoming unexpectedly warm and kind. This transformation was not magic. It was the natural result of love's ability to break down barriers and reveal the inherent divinity in all beings. Love has the power to transcend even past mistakes and regrets. Remorse often paralyzes the heart, preventing it from moving forward. But when one cannot undo the past, one can counterbalance its effects by sowing seeds of good in the present. A woman overwhelmed by sadness sought relief after noticing how her grief had turned into irritability toward her family. Guided to affirm peace and divine joy, she began to heal. Her transformation not only brought her emotional balance, but also restored harmony within her household. Fear, like resentment, is a potent disruptor of love and prosperity. A mother consumed with worry over her children inadvertently projects negative energy, creating subconscious images that manifest in reality. Conversely, trust in the divine protection of those she loves creates a shield of safety. One woman, struck by an ominous feeling about her brother late one night, resisted the urge to give in to fear. Instead, she affirmed with conviction that he was divinely protected. The next day, she learned that he had narrowly escaped a dangerous explosion, unharmed as if by an invisible hand. The perfect expression of love casts out fear, ensuring that everything aligns with the greater good. In all things, love must be the foundation. It is the force that connects, heals, and transforms. When one embraces love without conditions, one aligns with the highest spiritual law. Love dispels fear, dismantles obstacles, and unleashes a wealth of abundance. It is the ultimate answer to every question and the ultimate remedy to every pain. Through love, one discovers the profound truth that life is not a series of obstacles, but an unfolding of infinite possibilities. When love flows freely, prosperity follows, for both are reflections of the same divine essence. The fulfillment of life's greatest promise lies in learning to love fully, without restraint or expectation. This love is not passive or weak. It is active, courageous, and unwavering. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, turning every challenge into an opportunity for growth. Love is the ultimate law, the key to unlocking the harmony and abundance that are every soul's birthright. To love is to live in alignment with the divine, to experience a life of infinite joy, peace, and prosperity. Chapter 3. Trusting intuition and embracing divine guidance. In the intricate web of life, there exists a subtle force guiding each of us toward our highest good, a quiet voice within that holds the wisdom of the universe. This force, often called intuition, is not merely a feeling or fleeting thought. It is a divine compass, a channel through which the infinite intelligence of creation speaks. To hear and follow its guidance is to align oneself with a life of purpose, prosperity, and harmony. The journey of trusting intuition begins with recognizing its subtlety. Unlike the clamor of the rational mind, intuition speaks in whispers, urging us toward paths we might otherwise ignore. To tune into this inner voice, one must cultivate a sense of stillness and openness. It requires faith, for intuition often defies logic and challenges conventional thinking. Yet, those who trust its lead find that it never fails to guide them toward the solutions, opportunities, and connections they seek. Words, too, are a vital part of this process. Spoken with intention and clarity, words carry the creative energy that bridges the visible and the unseen. Each affirmation, each request made with conviction, resonates within the fabric of the universe. When paired with faith, these words activate unseen forces, setting into motion events that lead to transformation. The power of speaking your truth lies not in mere repetition, but in the depth of belief behind it. The ancient wisdom asserts that when you ask, you will receive it. This is not a passive act, but a conscious decision to engage with the infinite source of all that is. Think about the tale of a woman who was in dire need of financial support. Divine Spirit, open the way for the abundance that is mine by divine right to reach me in perfect harmony, she said firmly, following her intuition. Additionally, she sought direction, asking, "Show me if there is any action I must take." Soon after, she had an unanticipated desire to contribute a small amount of money to a friend who had helped her spiritually. She paused at first, unsure whether or not to follow this inclination. Another acquaintance made a comment about the power of giving on the same day, sharing a story that reflected her own circumstances. Encouraged and comforted, she joyfully handed over the cash. Soon later, she received an unanticipated windfall that greatly exceeded her necessities. The timeless truth that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin was confirmed by her act of generosity, which opened the door to wealth. Faith and intuition work together to guide us towards actions that are in line with our divine purpose. Sometimes these actions appear unrelated to our immediate desires, yet they hold the key to greater outcomes. A woman seeking a cure for her physical ailment experienced this firsthand. During a moment of stillness, she was struck by an unusual thought: to clear out and rent an old apartment she had left cluttered with unused belongings. Initially perplexed, she dismissed the idea as irrelevant to her health. But upon reflecting on the connection between external chaos and internal stagnation, she acted. As she cleared and reorganized the space, she noticed her physical symptoms diminishing. Her body, mind, and surroundings were intricately linked, and by restoring balance in one area, she had created harmony in all. Divine guidance often arrives in unexpected forms. It might come as a fleeting thought, a sudden idea, or even a gentle nudge to take an action that seems inconsequential. One woman seeking clarity about her career found herself torn between multiple job offers. Unsure of which path to choose, she asked for direction. The next morning she awoke to the distinct scent of a place she associated with peace and fulfillment. That memory guided her to accept an opportunity she had initially overlooked, one that ultimately brought her success and joy far beyond her expectations. This subtle, intuitive guidance is always present, though it often requires a heightened awareness to perceive. It may guide someone into a seemingly ordinary situation, only to reveal its extraordinary purpose later. A chance encounter, an unexpected conversation, or even a random visit to a place without any apparent need can lead to profound connections or opportunities. Intuition bypasses the linear thinking of the mind, revealing solutions that the intellect cannot conceive. The act of listening to intuition also teaches us the importance of surrender. It is not enough to simply ask for guidance. One must trust the answer when it arrives, even if it seems unconventional or illogical. Fear and doubt often obstruct this process, creating resistance that blocks the flow of divine energy. However, the path becomes clear when faith replaces fear. The divine always leads toward the highest good, even if the journey takes unexpected turns. Generosity plays a crucial role in maintaining this alignment with divine guidance. Giving, whether it is of time, resources, or kindness, creates an energetic flow that invites prosperity and fulfillment into one's life. The practice of giving joyfully, without expectation or fear, mirrors the abundance of the universe. It affirms that there is always plenty, and that the source of supply is infinite and unending. A man once paralyzed by the fear of scarcity sought advice on how to overcome his financial struggles. The divine source encouraged him to give, not out of obligation, but as an act of trust. At first, he resisted, clinging tightly to what little he had. Eventually, he started sharing small amounts with those in need, and each act brought a blessing. Over time, his financial situation transformed, not because he sought to gain, but because he aligned himself with the universal flow of abundance. His faith and actions paved the way for prosperity. Active participation is required on the path of intuition and divine guidance, rather than passive waiting. It necessitates speaking one's truth, paying attention to inner guidance and acting on inspiration. It calls for generosity, even in times of need, and faith, even when the way forward is uncertain. It's a journey of faith, faith in the divine plan that flawlessly unfolds for each individual, faith in the immense wisdom of the cosmos, and faith in oneself. In the end, intuition is the soul's voice, a revered conduit to the Almighty that directs us toward our full destiny. Every step we take in faith gets us one step closer to a life of harmony, abundance, and fulfillment. It reminds us that we always have support and are never alone. By following this advice, we find a life that is far richer and more fulfilling than we could have ever dreamed of, aligning with the boundless flow of love and prosperity. The mind is the source of all physical ailments. When emotions like anger, fear, and resentment are not controlled, they show up as physical imbalances, demonstrating the close relationship between our thoughts and our health. This fact, which has been understood throughout spiritual history, encourages us to probe deeply into the soul and see past the outward manifestation of our suffering. Treating the symptoms is insufficient. Real healing necessitates mental transformation and subconscious cleaning, which is where emotional wounds frequently originate. Ancient beliefs also confirm this relationship. Following the leper's recovery, Jesus stated, "Sin no more, lest something worse happens to you." These remarks served as a caring reminder that long-term healing can only occur when we break free from our internal damaging patterns, not as a condemnation. To harbor hatred, pass judgment on others, or harbor resentment is to poison our own souls. Condemning someone else is like drinking from a cup of bitterness. We expect the person we condemn to suffer pain, but instead we end up poisoned. There was once a woman who came seeking solace after her husband left her for another. Filled with rage, she unleashed a torrent of blame against the other woman, declaring her an interloper with no right to her marriage. But the truth, as uncomfortable as it was, revealed itself in time. Her unrelenting judgment planted seeds in her own life, and years later she found herself entangled in a similar situation, falling in love with someone already committed. What we project onto others inevitably returns to us. Judgment and criticism are like gripping a live wire. The shock is inescapable. Indecision, too, is a silent thief, robbing us of clarity and action. When we waver in doubt, we stagnate, allowing fear to dictate our path. To overcome this paralysis, one must affirm with conviction the power of divine guidance. The language of the soul is intuition, a whisper from the infinite source that always directs us toward our highest good. Yet, to hear it, we must rise above the chaos of the material world. The clamor of numbers, horoscopes, and worldly predictions can cloud the mind, tethering us to a karmic cycle of limitation. True guidance comes not from external signs, but from within, where the spirit connects with divine wisdom. Trusting in this inner voice is an act of faith, a declaration that no prediction, no circumstance can overshadow the power of the infinite spirit. Consider a man whose horoscope predicted his death many years prior. Defying every celestial calculation, he not only lived but thrived, becoming a beacon of leadership and inspiration. His life stands as testimony to the supremacy of spirit over any external decree. No limitation can bind a soul aligned with the divine. Faced with dire predictions or apparent injustice, one must affirm, every false word nullifies, and the perfect plan of divine will prevails. This unwavering declaration shatters the bonds of fear, paving the way for limitless opportunities. We must meet even promises of success, love, or prosperity with gratitude and faith. To fully receive blessings, we must embrace them with an open heart, believing that the universe is working for our ultimate benefit. This is not about imposing our will but aligning it with the divine. It is about holding a vision of perfection, as illustrated in the story of the prodigal son. To return to the abundance of the source requires shedding the limitations we place upon ourselves, rising above fear and doubt, and stepping into the infinite possibilities of divine provision. Fear is easy. It is the natural response of the mind when faced with uncertainty. Faith, on the other hand, is a conscious choice, requiring effort and trust. But when we awaken to the spiritual truth that every external experience reflects an internal state, the nature of our struggles begins to shift. A woman learned this lesson in a startling way. Lost in judgment and negativity, she criticized a passerby, harboring resentment towards someone she deemed unpleasant. Her thoughts summoned a group of scouts who accidentally bumped into her, causing her to fall. At that moment, she realized the truth. What we send out into the world returns to us. With humility, she invoked the law of forgiveness and blessed the person she had judged, experiencing an inner release that transformed her perspective. The universe operates with perfect balance. The seemingly lost never truly vanishes. It simply assumes a different form. A woman who lent a significant sum of money to a relative faced heartbreak when he passed away without acknowledging the debt. Struggling with bitterness, she turned to the spiritual law of restitution, declaring, "There is no loss in divine order. This money returns to me in perfect harmony." She let go of her resentment and trusted in the process. Soon after, an unexpected series of events unfolded. The building she lived in was sold, and her landlord, eager to vacate the property, offered her and her neighbors a compensation package that matched the exact amount she had lent. What seemed like a setback turned into an unexpected advantage. This principle reveals a profound truth. The doubts, fears, and resentments we carry act as barriers to the infinite reservoir of abundance. They consume our blessings, trapping us in a state of limitation. However, when we align our thoughts with divine truth, we often restore and multiply every loss. The scripture states, "I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten." To reconnect with the flow of abundance, one must surrender the mental chains of negativity and affirm the promise of divine provision. Faith and gratitude are the keys to this transformation. Each challenge, each seeming injustice, is an opportunity to deepen trust in the universe's perfect order. By acting from a place of gratitude and confidence, we allow the infinite source to pour blessings into our lives, overflowing beyond measure. As the scripture says, "Test me in this, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." Every trial we face is an invitation to grow. What appears to be a setback is often a setup for something greater. By choosing faith over fear, love over resentment, and trust over doubt, we align with the divine flow that restores and multiplies all that is good. No loss is permanent, no wound irreparable, for the universe operates in perfect harmony, always guiding us toward our highest good. When we surrender to this truth, we discover the boundless blessings that were waiting for us all along. Chapter 4. Discovering the unique purpose within. The vast fabric of creation weaves each soul's unique mission, a spark of the infinite. This purpose, the divine plan for every person, patiently awaits discovery and realization. No storm can change its path, no force can change it. It is the calling that enables us to enter a life of fulfillment and significance by bringing us into alignment with the deep harmony of the cosmos. Each of us has talents and gifts waiting to be discovered and shared. Discovering this destiny is a religious obligation rather than just a goal. A potent instrument for imagining the divine plan before it materializes, the imagination acts as a link between the visible and invisible worlds. Whether they are aware of it or not, each person possesses a unique set of skills and passions that are positioned within them to play a role that only they can. When accepted, these gifts shine brightly, enhancing not only the lives of others but also one's own. The summons to embody their divine purpose and become the fullest manifestation of who they truly are is the most profound calling anyone can receive. One must look to the infinite for directions in order to align with this larger design. Divine Spirit, open the way for the perfect purpose of my life to manifest, is a sincere prayer that, when uttered with humility and faith, starts the world in motion. Give me the gifts I possess and show me the way you have planned. When said sincerely, such a prayer frequently starts a significant transformation. When old patterns disappear, the room opens up for fresh possibilities and a more expansive reality. This alignment with the divine design does not bring burdens or toil. Instead, it invites a sense of joy and ease. When one steps into their true purpose, life begins to feel like a dance, effortless and exhilarating. The perfect moment brings all the necessary resources, whether material, financial, or spiritual. In its infinite wisdom, the universe provides well-supported paths for those who trust its guidance. A student once shared how, after making a small but heartfelt offering and asking for clarity in his purpose, his life transformed. In a matter of months, he found success, happiness, and opportunities beyond his imagination. His simple act of faith unlocked the treasures waiting for him. For some, living their divine purpose may manifest in nurturing roles, being a loving partner, a devoted parent, or creating a home filled with peace and warmth. For others, it may take the form of brilliant careers, creative pursuits, or impactful contributions to the world. The path reveals itself when one asks with humility and trust, seeking alignment with the greater plan rather than imposing personal desires. Even parents, whose own dreams often shape their children's hopes, must learn to let go of their expectations. Instead, they should trust that their child's unique purpose will reveal itself in perfect harmony as they pray for the divine design to unfold in their life. Fear is often the greatest obstacle to embracing this purpose. Many hide their talents, burying their dreams under layers of doubt and worry about failure or criticism. Yet, fear is a shadow that dissipates when faced with faith. Affirmations and spiritual practices realign the mind with the infinite source, enabling courage to replace hesitation. One young man, paralyzed by anxiety over an exam, learned to declare, "I am connected to infinite intelligence, and I know all I need to succeed." With this affirmation, he passed with ease. However, in his confidence, he neglected to seek divine guidance in another subject, and stumbled. The experience taught him that achieving true success requires remaining anchored in the infinite. Regardless of the circumstances, one must consistently practice faith. A woman traveling through foreign lands experienced remarkable ease and success because she trusted in divine guidance. Every step of her journey, from finding accommodations to navigating unfamiliar streets, flowed effortlessly. Yet upon returning to her home country, she relied solely on her own knowledge and dismissed the need for spiritual alignment. Her plans unraveled, and her luggage went missing, causing chaos. This stark contrast reminded her that the presence of the divine must be welcomed in every moment, no matter how familiar or insignificant the situation may seem. Great discoveries and innovations often arise from this connection to the divine. Inspiration strikes in the quiet moments when one is attuned to the infinite. Consider Robert Fulton, who, upon observing steam rising from a teapot, envisioned the concept of steam-powered boats. These flashes of brilliance are not mere accidents, but the result of an open mind aligned with the divine flow. When we allow ourselves to trust this guidance, paths we never imagined unfold before us, leading to extraordinary outcomes. Each person occupies a unique place in the universe, a role no one else can fill. Recognizing this truth requires faith, for the journey is rarely straightforward. It calls for persistence and trust, a willingness to step into the unknown while holding on to the assurance that the universe supports every step, taken in alignment with the divine design. Everything needed for this journey already exists, waiting in the infinite storehouse of possibilities. The key is to ask, to trust, and to act with humility. Life undergoes transformation as one traverses this path. The puzzle comes together, unveiling a picture of purpose, harmony, and fulfillment. Challenges no longer appear as obstacles, but as stepping stones, guiding the way to greater understanding and achievement. The divine plan unfolds perfectly, infusing each moment with meaning. Living one's divine design entails fully embracing life. You must have faith that every gift, talent, and opportunity is within your reach for a purpose. It is to recognize that no step is insignificant and no call is too small. When aligned with the infinite, life becomes a symphony of purpose and joy, a testament to the unique role each of us plays in the grand design of existence. In the words of ancient wisdom, acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will direct your paths. In the ceaseless quest for fulfillment, many unknowingly obstruct their own path by resisting or attempting to control the outcomes they desire. This resistance creates barriers, limiting faith and halting the natural flow of abundance. The infinite intelligence of the universe gently reminds us, "My ways are not your ways." Just as electricity requires a clear, unblocked channel to flow, so must we become open and receptive vessels, allowing divine power to move freely through us. Faith, trust, and surrender are not acts of weakness but the keys to unlocking the infinite. A quiet mind is the foundation for divine alignment. As the scriptures teach, fear not, be still and know. To stand in stillness, releasing fear and ceasing resistance, is to invite the divine to work on our behalf. The transformative power of this trust was evident in the story of a woman who reclaimed a substantial sum of money she had thought lost. Only when she released her fear and shifted to gratitude did the solution appear. Similarly, another woman saw love return to her life only after she let go of suffering and desperation. By trusting in the greater plan, we allow the universe to realign our lives in harmony with its perfect order. Mastery of life begins with the mastery of the self. When balance is achieved within, clarity replaces confusion, anger dissolves, and decisions are made with ease. Anger, by its very nature, clouds judgment and poisons the body, while faith harmonizes and heals. Fear, like anger, is a misdirection of energy, an investment in negative outcomes that often materialize through the subconscious. The mind, charged with emotional intensity, acts as a magnet, drawing the feared scenario into reality. However, we can overcome fear, regardless of its overwhelming power. To face it directly is to neutralize its power. A timeless example of this truth lies in the story of Jehoshaphat, who, when confronted with an enemy, declared, "Praise the Lord." His enemies defeated him not by his hand but by their own, as he relinquished fear and placed his trust in the divine. This illustrates that divine power is activated when resistance ceases. Consider the case of a woman who must deliver an uncomfortable message on a more personal level. Though logic urged her to avoid the situation, she chose instead to trust in divine protection. When the time came, she found the issue resolved. The person she had to confront was no longer there. By releasing her fear, the problem dissolved on its own. Failure to complete what has started is another common barrier to divine flow. Incompleteness reflects a deeper pattern of avoidance, often mirroring an internal resistance to fulfillment. One woman, facing financial difficulties, recognized this pattern in her life. Determined to break free, she finished a project that had long been left undone, treating it as a symbolic act of completion. Shortly thereafter, her husband received an unexpected bonus, a reward for his integrity. This synchronicity revealed that the universe responds to acts of completion and commitment, reinforcing the principle that faith and action must work hand in hand. Living in alignment with divine flow requires not only giving but also receiving. Many are generous in their offerings, but resist accepting help, whether out of pride or limiting beliefs. This imbalance disrupts the natural cycle of abundance. One woman, known for her generosity, rejected a large financial gift, believing she did not need it. Soon after, she found herself in debt for the exact amount she had declined. This experience taught her that receiving with grace is as important as giving. Gratitude should embrace every blessing, no matter how small, as it reflects the universe's love. To reject a gift is to close the channel of divine provision, cutting oneself off from the flow of abundance. The law of cause and effect, known as karma, explains why some individuals inherit prosperity and health, while others face poverty and illness. This rule is the basis for the apparent inequalities of life. The subconsciously ingrained ideas and beliefs reflect every individual's present reality. Nurturing images of health and abundance leads to prosperity and well-being, whereas negative and fearful patterns lead to lack and limitation. These karmic cycles, however, do not permanently bind anyone. By transcending the limits of limitation through spiritual awakening and the understanding of divine truth, one can achieve a life of freedom and fulfillment. The scriptures confirm this promise. Man created in the image and likeness of God. This reality contains the path to freedom. When one's life aligns with the divine plan, one achieves the highest manifestation of oneself. Embracing purpose makes fear go away and transforms life into a conduit for limitless wisdom. It is not just a spiritual promise. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Offering love, health, wealth, and harmony to the soul that is in line with its divine calling, it is a proclamation of abundance in the present. Whether it stems from fear, anger, or doubt, resistance only postpones the blessings intended to enter our lives. But when faith replaces fear, when trust overcomes hesitation, the infinite potential of the universe is unlocked. Each act of surrender, each step taken in faith, draws us closer to a reality where love, prosperity, and purpose are not aspirations, but constants. Life invites us to let go of control, to cease struggling against the current, and instead allow the divine flow to carry us. In this surrender, we find not weakness, but strength, not loss, but liberation. The infinite wisdom of the universe knows the perfect path for each of us. When we relax with this truth, miracles unfold, love returns, abundance flows, and purpose is revealed, not through force or resistance, but through trust in the infinite power that governs all things. In this alignment, life becomes a reflection of the divine order, a testament to the boundless potential within every soul. Chapter 5. The Creative Power of Words. Every desire, every hope, already exists in the realm of infinite potential. It is not a question of whether something is possible, but rather a matter of aligning ourselves with the divine flow that brings these possibilities into reality. The key to this alignment lies in the words we speak and the faith we hold. Words are not mere sounds, they are creative forces shaping the fabric of our lives. When spoken with clarity and conviction, they become the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the spiritual and the material. To bring forth what we seek, we must declare it with precision and unwavering faith. This is not a passive act, but an active collaboration with the universe. To say, "Divine Spirit, open the way for my perfect home, my true friends, and my ideal work," is to plant the seed of intention in fertile ground. Yet, it is equally important to trust that these desires will manifest harmoniously, without struggle or loss. The universe responds to our clarity. When requests are vague or impulsive, the results can be incomplete or even discordant. There is a lesson in the story of a woman who asked for a sum of money, only to receive it as part of a settlement after her daughter was injured. The circumstances were far from ideal, but they fulfilled the request. She realized later that her words had lacked the precision necessary to guide the manifestation. Had she instead declared, "Infinite Spirit, I give thanks that the money I need is now released to me gracefully and perfectly," she could have achieved the same result without hardship. This underscores the importance of aligning our words with both intention and harmony. Wealth and abundance are not merely external circumstances, but reflections of inner consciousness. A heart steeped in limitation cannot receive the vastness of divine provision. A French tale illustrates this beautifully. Someone gave a poor man a golden ingot, leading him to believe it was solid gold. Convinced of his newfound wealth, his life began to change. He found work, gained confidence, and prospered so greatly that he never had to sell the ingot. Years later, when he passed it to another man, the recipient discovered it was merely copper. Instead of the ingot, the first man's consciousness changed, awakening his prosperity. Each of us carries a similar golden ingot within, a deep reservoir of faith and belief that, when activated, attracts abundance into our lives. Faith is the catalyst for manifestation. Confidence in the fulfillment of our desires paves the way for their materialization. "Before they call, I will answer," speaks to this divine truth. We build our faith not on constant pleading or doubt, but on the joyful acknowledgement that what we seek already exists in the unseen. It is a quiet assurance, a knowing that bridges the gap between longing and reality. Gratitude amplifies the power of faith. Even in moments of challenge, finding joy allows the energy of abundance to flow freely. It is akin to a rose blooming in the desert, its beauty flourishing despite the challenges, a testament to the potential that arises when faith perseveres. This is why joy is not merely a result of receiving blessings, but a precursor to them. To rejoice while still in the wilderness of doubt is to call forth the fertile rains of manifestation. Sacred texts' lessons serve as a reminder of the harmony between expression and appreciation. "Give us this day our daily bread" is a prayer that expresses trust as well as assurance of supply. In a similar vein, "Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors" emphasizes how crucial it is to let go of grudges, since they obstruct the flow of divine favors. "For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory" reinforces the idea that the source of all happiness is infinite. Precision is necessary for manifestation, since ambiguous or thoughtless language might have unexpected consequences. Once, a woman found herself in a situation where she needed a large sum of money quickly. One day, she found herself tempted to purchase a lovely letter opener. It seemed insignificant, but it sparked her imagination. She held it in her hand and imagined opening check-filled envelopes. That small but deliberate gesture sparked her trust. The funds she required arrived in a matter of weeks. The energy she put into her vision, rather than the letter opener itself, was what made the difference. Her faith turned into a magnet for wealth. Consistent cultivation of faith is essential, particularly during challenging times. It is simple to trust when life is smooth, but true faith is tested in difficulty. To declare, "With the divine all things are possible," even when circumstances appear bleak, is to affirm the truth that lies beyond appearances. Every uttered word in faith acts as a seed, and every act of gratitude nourishes the soil of possibility. The power of the word is a gift entrusted to us, a means to shape our reality in alignment with divine will. Through precise declarations, unwavering faith, and joyful gratitude, we unlock the infinite storehouse of blessings prepared for us. The good we seek is already present in the realm of spirit, waiting for us to call it forth in our lives. As the ancient wisdom declares, "You shall decree a thing, and it shall be established for you." Speak with clarity, act with faith, and let the abundance of the universe flow freely into your life. The subconscious mind, when directed with unwavering faith and clarity, becomes a powerful servant. It does not question, debate, or doubt. It simply acts on the commands it receives. This truth reveals the immense potential within each of us to shape our reality, yet it also carries a warning. The subconscious responds equally to fear and faith, to doubt and determination. What we hold in our thoughts, charged with emotion, inevitably takes form. Consider the story of a man who, desperate for fresh air in a stifling room, shattered what he thought was a window in the dark of night. Only at dawn did he realize he had broken the glass of a bookcase while the actual window remained closed. His intense desire for relief had driven him to act, and though he had erred in execution, his subconscious mind had fulfilled his demand. This serves as a powerful metaphor. The subconscious does not discern between truth and error. It simply carries out the strongest directive with precision. For those who seek to manifest their desires, this principle underscores the importance of clarity and conviction. You must hold a request firmly, without wavering. To falter in belief or to entertain doubt is to block the flow of manifestation. Faith, constant and unshakable, is the bridge that connects intention with reality. A person who wishes to manifest health, love, or abundance must not merely desire it, but claim it with authority, trusting fully that the unseen forces of the universe are already at work. The subconscious is equally responsive to negative inputs, and therein lies a common trap. A woman who frequently wished to be rid of her glasses found that they were continually lost or broken. Her subconscious, responding to her repeated thoughts, fulfilled her wish but in a disruptive manner. The lesson here is clear. Focus not on what is unwanted, but on the desired outcome. Instead of lamenting her glasses, she might have affirmed, "I now enjoy perfect and clear vision." The subconscious does not distinguish between what is wished for and what is feared. It acts on the emotional charge of the thought. Duality in thought can also create confusion and delay. If one simultaneously desires something and fears its loss, the subconscious mirrors this contradiction, resulting in stagnation. The solution is to release the problem entirely, surrendering it to the divine with the trust that the best outcome will unfold. As illustrated by the story of a woman caught in the rain with a broken umbrella, sometimes the most profound solutions come when we let go. In her moment of despair, she exclaimed, "Lord, take this umbrella, I don't know what to do with it." Almost immediately, a repairman appeared and fixed it. The simplicity of her surrender allowed the universe to provide an unexpected answer. The power of the word, spoken with intention and backed by faith, transcends time and space. A declaration made with certainty and gratitude carries a force that reaches its destination instantly. When a man, gravely ill, received the affirmation, "I deny this appearance of illness. It is not real. This man is a perfect idea in the divine mind. His condition improved overnight." The spoken word, aligned with spiritual truth, is a tool of transformation. Distance is irrelevant. The energy of faith moves unhindered by physical boundaries. To harness this power, one must approach affirmations with the mindset that the request is already fulfilled. Repeating an affirmation in desperation diminishes its potency. Instead, speak with confidence and gratitude, as if the manifestation has already occurred. This practice strengthens the subconscious, preparing the way for the visible result. Unwavering belief nurtures each affirmation, like a seed in fertile soil. Faith, however, is not a passive state. It requires symbolic acts and inspired actions that reinforce belief. A young woman in dire need of $100 once sought help. They declared, "The Spirit is never late. What you need is already within your reach." That night, guided by a seemingly random urge, she checked an old box in her safe deposit vault and discovered a crisp $100 bill she had forgotten. This act of faith, paired with her willingness to follow intuition, unlocked the provision she needed. The distinction between imagination and vision is crucial. Imagination, governed by the mind, often reflects personal desires or fears. Vision, on the other hand, arises from the divine, guided by intuition and the higher self. When aligned with the divine plan, vision becomes the blueprint for manifesting the highest good. To receive divine guidance, one must quiet the mind and release attachment to ego-driven desires. The prayer, "I desire nothing but what God desires for me," opens the heart to receive the perfect plan, which far exceeds the limitations of human reasoning. Too often, people settle for less than what the divine has prepared for them. They build modest expectations, constrained by logic, while the infinite source holds grander possibilities. To force a manifestation through sheer will is to stifle it. The spiritual law teaches us to rest in trust and to allow the divine flow to bring forth blessings in perfect timing. The scripture, "I will hasten it in its time," serves as a reminder that divine promises come to pass promptly when the conditions are met. When imbued with faith, the spoken word has the power to transform. It bridges the gap between the spiritual and the material, transforming thoughts into form. A state of trust and surrender elevates the speaker beyond the limitations of the physical world, connecting them to the infinite source of all good. When faith reaches this level of perfection, manifestations occur instantaneously, as if the word commands the fully ripened harvest to spring forth. To live in alignment with this truth is to embrace a life of miracles. The process is not reserved for the extraordinary, but is accessible to all who choose to align their thoughts, words, and actions with the divine plan. As we declare our truth, surrender our fears, and trust the infinite intelligence that governs all things, we step into a reality where the impossible becomes possible. Faith's power meets every need, fulfills every desire, and overcomes every obstacle. This is the promise of divine alignment, a life lived in harmony with the infinite. Christ is not just a historical figure, but a principle, a divine essence that resides within every human being. This inner Christ represents the perfect self, the radiant truth of who we are beyond all limitations. It is the voice that calls us back to our highest nature, the part of us that knows no illness, no suffering, and no lack. It is the resurrection and the life within, a beacon guiding us to align with the divine plan that has always been waiting to unfold through us. To say, "No one comes to the Father except through the Son," is to acknowledge that the power of the divine manifests through this inner Christ. It is the channel through which infinite happiness flows into the material world. The Holy Spirit, meanwhile, is the active force of divine action, the power that sets the plan in motion. Together, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit form a sacred trinity within us, the universal mind, the channel of manifestation, and the action that brings it all to life. Every conscious act of creation draws on this divine synergy. The thoughts we hold in our minds are the seeds of this creation. To think with clarity, faith, and love is to paint the masterpiece of our lives with bold and harmonious strokes. Every thought infused with certainty and devotion becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of existence, bringing the divine vision into reality. The image we hold in our minds with conviction and love must inevitably take form, for the universe responds faithfully to the clarity of our intentions. Within every person lies the power to create a heaven on earth. Simple rules govern this sacred game: faith without fear, non-resistance, and unconditional love. These principles, when embraced and practiced, dissolve the chains that have held us captive to fear, illness, poverty, and despair. They illuminate the truth that sets us free, allowing us to see ourselves renewed and transformed by the power of spirit. Through the practice of affirmations and denials, we rewrite the script of our lives. By denying the reality of fear and limitation, we clear the path for affirmations to take root. To say, "God is my inexhaustible source of abundance, and enormous sums of money flow to me now easily and gracefully," is to align oneself with the infinite flow of prosperity. To affirm, "Everything not aligned with the divine plan dissolves now, and the perfect order of God manifests in my life," is to invite harmony and balance. These declarations are not mere words, but powerful tools that align the subconscious with the higher truth. The Christ within reminds us that we are one with divine love, a force that heals, uplifts, and transforms all it touches. When we affirm, "Divine love floods my consciousness, dissolving all that is not in balance and filling me with radiant health," we activate this healing power within. Love is the ultimate purifier, the energy that aligns every cell of our being with perfection. It illuminates our vision, clears our minds, and opens our hearts to the boundless possibilities of divine grace. There are obstacles on the path to spiritual awakening. There will be periods of uncertainty when doubt and anxiety seem to be too much to handle. However, these are the pivotal times when we are urged to give up control and put our faith in the heavenly presence that is always with us. Embracing miracles requires relinquishing control and allowing the supernatural to guide us. In the silence of surrender, we can hear the whisper of intuition, the voice of divine knowledge that consistently guides us to the next step. The route becomes clear to us when we trust this direction and follow it. This is the reality of divine flow. Resources materialize, solutions emerge, and ideal conditions come together to promote our greatest good. Our internal Christ is our constant presence and source of guidance. Our most sacred tool is the word's creative power. The law of manifestation is triggered when we firmly say, "I am in harmony with the divine flow, and everything I require arrives at the right moment." This law reacts to certainty rather than despair. It calls on us to cling tightly to our vision while feeling fulfilled because what we're looking for is already on its way. Giving thanks for blessings that are not yet apparent but are already present in spirit is the act of gratitude. which serves as a bridge between the visible and the invisible. Walking this path means embracing the fullness of life. The Christ within calls us not to a life of struggle, but to one of joy, peace, and fulfillment. Each thought of love, each act of faith, and each word of truth brings us closer to the manifestation of our highest potential. We are not here to live small, to accept limitations, or to dwell in fear. We are here to express the divine plan that has been inscribed within us since the beginning of time. The challenges we face are not obstacles, but opportunities to grow into the truth of who we are. When we embrace the principle of Christ within, we rise above the illusions of the physical world and step into a reality where all things are possible. Love becomes our foundation, faith our guiding light, and gratitude the song of our hearts. As you close this chapter and continue your journey, know that the tools of transformation are already in your hands. The affirmations, principles, and truths you hold now are empowered to change your life. The manifestation of good is not a privilege for a few, but the divine right of all. Health, prosperity, love, and the perfect expression of your unique self are yours to claim. The universe withholds nothing from those who dare to believe. Communicate confidently. Release the burdens that weigh you down. Trust that the divine plan is unfolding perfectly, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. Walk forward with faith, knowing that the Christ within you is your eternal companion. We win the game of life not through force or fear, but through love and harmony. Now go forth and live the truth of who you are. The life you seek, the joy you long for, and the abundance you desire are already yours. All that remains is to receive them with an open heart and a spirit full of gratitude. The Christ within has made you free. Now it is your time to live fully, joyfully, and gloriously in the light of that freedom.